Hello everybody and welcome to season 3 of the Gradcracker webinars. So firstly, apologies for the late rescheduling of the webinar and thank you so much for joining us. So season 1 and 2 were so successful we have decided to run the webinars again, featuring some really exciting employers from lots and lots of different sectors, including automotive, banking, consulting, energy, the armed forces. The list is almost endless. All of the webinars, the old and the upcoming, are listed on the webinar page on Gradcracker, so check out the lineup today and register your interest. If you are new to the webinars, they are live and recorded, and we feature the recordings on the following day, so tomorrow, on the Employers Company Hub and in the Careers Centre. And if you joined me, Jess and Sophie for the last couple of seasons, it's really great to have you back. So today though, our attention is on Cummins, and it's lovely to be joined again by Grace, and the graduates Chelsea, Bavisha and Sabi. So Cummins are regular favourites, as you will know if you've watched all the webinars previously, on the webinars, and have been on Gradcracker since the very beginning, which is 15 years in total. Grace, can you imagine that? That is just madness, isn't it? They also sponsor the Gradcracker Toolkit, and they've got lots of exciting information about who they are and what they do on their hub on Gradcracker. So after the webinar, check out the hub and find out more. So what is a toolkit? The new edition will be available from your careers service mid-September. So make sure you grab a copy from there. If you don't know what the toolkit is, you're naughty, but Jessica will explain now.
So the toolkit is a fantastic booklet which we produce every year. This is last year's edition. The new edition will be available in the matter of weeks. But the toolkit is a fantastic booklet which is full of great careers advice, and it's a fantastic industry sector guide as well. So there's over 60 employers that are featuring in the booklet this year. It's a fantastic resource, so make sure you pick up a copy. It's a perfect pocket guide size to fit in handbags, pockets, whatever. So keep it, hold on to it, and make sure you get a copy at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and just to follow on from that, so the Cummins section that they sponsor, the toolkit, is on their hub as well, or it will be mid-September, we're saying as well. So make sure you take a look and find out more. So we are going to start with the lovely Grace. Grace, if people don't know you already, they should do. However, tell us a little bit about your role at Cummins, what you do and everything about you.
Okay, thank you, Carla. Hi everyone, thank you for joining the session today. So we're really excited to be back again this year. Many of our placement students over the last couple of years have discovered us through the Gradcracker webinar sessions, so we must be doing something right. We know that there will be quite a number of students listening who haven't heard of Cummins before, or maybe know very little about us. So we just hope today that we can show you what an exciting company we are to work for, particularly during your placement year. So I myself actually joined Cummins 9 years ago as a placement student working in supply chain, and I hadn't heard of Cummins before either, but I felt incredibly lucky to have come across the placement, as I had the best time ever. I made some amazing friends and I learned so much about the company, and I developed some really useful skills which not only helped me in my final year of university, but also helped me when I came back to Cummins as a graduate in 2015. So I think the thing that I enjoyed most about my time at Cummins when I was on placement was the culture and the relationships that you build, and not just with your direct team, but all of the other teams and people that you'll come across. Everyone is super friendly and helpful, and as a company, we really try to encourage you to put forward and explore different ideas and be curious and try things out. So we do have some really great opportunities for our students, and we really value the skills and behaviours that they bring to us. So all of our students work on real value-adding projects and real life jobs, and you're treated just like any other employee, which I think is really important for your development and for you to get the most out of your experience. So as you can tell, I'm quite passionate about Cummins. That's one of the reasons why I've now found myself in the recruitment team. So I've worked in lots of different areas across Cummins throughout my career so far. I'm now in the recruitment team so that I can share my experience and hopefully help other students understand a little bit more about our opportunities.
I just think Grace is such a perfect example of a person who started out on a placement as a placement student, came back as a graduate, and then everything that you've been involved in since, Grace. This is what any student who joins Cummins could be part of. The different projects, the different teams, the different experiences. So you are a massive asset to Cummins. We all know that already. So how would you explain what Cummins is then? You said before you started out as a placement student, you hadn't really heard of them or didn't know what they did. How would you briefly explain who you are then for students watching?
Okay, so thankfully I have learned a little bit more about Cummins. So Cummins are a global power technology leader, and we are headquartered in the US. So we have approximately 58,000 employees across the world, and we have a number of sites across the UK. So we are a really, really huge company, and we have lots going on within the UK as well as across the world. So we are a technology company committed to meeting the world's sustainability challenges, and that's something that's really important to us. And we're doing that by delivering a broad portfolio of power solutions. So we're driving innovation in the areas of advanced diesel, natural gas, electrification, fuel cells, alternative fuels, and other advanced energy solutions. So it's our mission to help our customers succeed through innovative and dependable products that are not only good for our customers, but also good for the environment. And I just wanted to share with you a recent quote from our new president and CEO, Jennifer Rumsey. So she's recently said that Cummins can and will lead in addressing climate, leveraging our expertise to develop sustainable solutions that enable our customers' success, positively impact our communities, and protect our planet for future generations. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I just wanted to add to say that as a technology company, sustainability is always at the forefront of our minds, and we do have some very ambitious goals. So from addressing climate change and air emissions at our facilities to using natural resources in the most sustainable ways that we can, we are aiming for net zero carbon emissions by 2050. So there's lots of really exciting work going on at Cummins at the moment, and it's really exciting time for placement students and graduates to be joining us. So as well as being very passionate about our excellent products and goals for the planet, we are also very passionate about our people, and we're really passionate about creating an inclusive culture, and we champion diversity through a range of different initiatives. And I've seen this firsthand, and I've been very lucky to have worked with a real diverse range of people. And it makes me feel really proud to work for a company where everyone feels valued and supported and included. So there is so much else I would love to share with you and tell you lots of stories, and I'm going to leave back to our wonderful panelists that have joined me today. And anything else that you want to learn about Cummins that isn't covered today, you can hopefully find that on our Gradcracker profile page.
Perfect, thanks, Grace. I know Grace would just talk forever about Cummins.
You can have your own, Grace.
I don't mind, love. You can take over. Absolutely fine. Yeah, fantastic introduction. I think there's a couple of things that you mentioned there about sustainability. That is a hot topic at the moment. A lot of some employees about talking about sustainability. I'm glad that you definitely highlighted that. It's something that the students and graduates are hugely interested in, isn't it, Jess, from when you've been speaking to them. I'm going to put you on the spot, Chelsea. I'm looking at you just because Grace just mentioned there about, you've got 58,000 employees, huge worldwide organisation. Is that a little bit daunting? How did you think, I know it's a massive employer, but I'm not that scared of it, because I can imagine students watching might think, oh, that's huge.
I think in some ways, it could be daunting because it's such a big company. We're doing huge things, especially in terms of the future thinking kind of market in this new technology of electrification and hydrogen. But at the same time, that's the exciting thing, is we're the young people coming into this market. It's so new that even if you've been here 30 years, it doesn't matter. Everyone's at the same starting position as we go in, which is just really exciting. So I think it's just taking that little step, and as well, yes, it's a big company, but you're all separated into little chunks. So whatever department you go into, that's your kind of little hub that you'll work with, and then you'll eventually network further, but take it small steps at a time, and it isn't as scary as you think it is.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Technology is always evolving. So even like the old hat people who've been at Cummins for, the older ones like Grace, who's been there forever. And you're learning new things every single day, aren't you? Because the technology is changing all the time. So going to stick with you, Chelsea. You said something else then about the teams and everything else. We're going to move on a little bit further on in the webinar and speak about your individual teams and projects that you're involved in. But let's meet you guys first. Chelsea, sticking with you. So where did you go to university and what did you study?
So I studied at University of Glasgow, and I just completed my 5-year master's course in product design engineering. Perfect.
And you're based in Huddersfield?
Yeah, I'm based in Huddersfield now, yeah.
Huddersfield, West Yorkshire, for people who don't know where Huddersfield is. I love Yorkshire. I'm going to get that many Yorkshire digs in this. My MD is going to be really knocked at me at the end. Thank you very much, Chelsea. Bavisha, on to you, sweetheart. So where did you go to uni? You're currently doing a placement.
Yeah, I'm doing a 12-week placement over the summer. In September, I'll be going back to uni. So I go to university in Sheffield. Yeah. And I'll be doing my final year in my master's in aerospace engineering.
Perfect. And we'll find out a little bit more about the positives about doing a placement a little bit later on when I hand you over to Jess. So thank you, Bavisha. Sabi, same question. So where did you go to university? What did you study, please?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Pakistan, so I did my bachelor's back there, but then I came here, did my master's from University of Leicester in engineering management. And that's and then I moved to Cummins with a graduate role.
Perfect. And I know, Sabi, just sticking with you then. So when we've spoken before this session that you used Gradcracker quite extensively during your job search. So specifically about Cummins and maybe the Cummins hub on Gradcracker, what kind of stuck out for you and made you think, oh, I really want to apply to them as a graduate?
So first of all, my interest in the product that Cummins basically, develops, which is engines. Being from an engineering background, that sort of stands out, being the biggest producer of engines across all platforms. So, it sort of sticks out to you that this is a massive company with which your interests align. And secondly, the range of opportunities that Cummins has. So when you do your search, you'll find that even within engineering, there's so many specific departments you can actually work with, whether it's just placement or graduate roles. So it's got a vast portfolio of opportunities, which when you're doing your research, it really helps. So that's pretty much the reason that I sort of had Cummins as a priority.
Perfect. And that almost, as if by magic, leads on, Grace, to then my next question to you. So what are these opportunities and when will they be opening on Gradcracker?
So as we've mentioned, we're quite a large company, so that means that we're quite a large employer of placement students. So we are expecting to have about 180 different roles available for students looking for a 12-month placement. So plenty of opportunity for everybody. So as an engineering organisation, we do have a real variety of different engineering positions available, as well as vacancies within quality, service, manufacturing and IT. And a whole host of other functions as well. So we do encourage all STEM students to apply to us. So if you see one of our exciting engineering roles, but you're not studying in a specific engineering degree, that is absolutely fine. We do still really want to hear from you, and we have hired successful students in the past from a variety of different STEM backgrounds. So we do try to keep the hiring as inclusive as possible, because we appreciate the different perspectives that our students from different degrees and backgrounds can bring. And we also offer 12-week internships within engineering, as we acknowledge that not every university course has a 12-month placement as part of that programme. So we feel like this is still really beneficial, and it can still give you like a really good insight into our business, and you'll still get a great opportunity for learning and development. So any real sort of work experience will always be super beneficial too, whether it's 12 months or 12 weeks. It's always great to have that on your CV. So I would definitely consider one of those as an option. So we are aiming to go live with our roles at the start of October, and we do encourage students to apply early in the cycle, because we try to assess candidates as the applications come in. So the majority of our most popular roles will hopefully be closed by Christmas. But I do encourage you to follow us on Gradcracker and watch out for our roles going live on the hub, like I said, probably from early October.
Yeah, perfect. So just to explain the follow feature on Gradcracker, if you do decide to follow, which it is a must, Cummins is a fantastic company, you'll get an email and push notification as soon as we go live with these positions. So as Grace mentioned, predominantly placements. So we've got the 12-month or 12-week placements, which will be open to you to apply for. If just explain the graduate situation, Grace. So I know the graduate positions are a little bit more ad hoc at Cummins, so it's worth a follow because they will have some, but they're just throughout the autumn. Is that what you'd say, Grace?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The graduate positions aren't as planned as the placement ones. So we sometimes get lots of different graduate roles popping up throughout the year. But wherever possible, we do try to fill any of our graduate positions with our previous placement students. So that's another kind of really beneficial point of doing a placement. It can and often does lead on to you having a graduate role with us.
Yeah, I mean, that is just a no-brainer.
Oh,
you get the, don't let me get Jess started on placements. You
get
it's
a good idea.
No matter what it is, if it's a 12 months or 12-week placement, you're gaining so much experience as the grads and Bhavisha's going to talk about now, and then you could be invited back as a graduate. So it is an absolute no-brainer.
Absolutely.
So let's hear it from the horses' mouths, not to name all horses. And Jess, I'm going to hand over to you, my love, and meet everybody in more detail.
Brilliant. Thanks, Carla. What a perfect introduction. So want to know a bit more about your roles then. So Bhavisha, I'll start with you. So if you could just tell me a bit about your experience so far and what your team's like, and we can really sell how great placements are. Love a placement.
So I've just started my 12-week placement in July, and I'm about 2 months into it now. I'm working in the aerodynamics team, and I've got a project placement that I've been working on since I started, which was basically looking at how CFD has been run and the most efficient way to run different tests and things like that. So which like initialization points and things are like the most efficient and which is the best way to run them. I've also been doing a little task on the side where I'm helping someone out on my team try and optimize how the tests are run to make turbine maps, which is basically a map that shows how the turbo works at different speeds and the kind of energy that it produces. So I've also been helping out there. The team that I'm working in right now is really nice. Everyone's really helpful. So if you have like any questions or anything, someone's always there to help you if you're confused or just want something explaining in detail or something like that.
Bhavisha, I'm confused and need something explaining in detail. CFD.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It's computational fluid dynamics. So it's basically showing how fluid, so most of the time it's air or things like that, moves around the body. So in context of my placement, it's probably it's mainly done on turbines, which is within a turbocharger.
Yeah.
So how the air moves around it, where it's the most where it goes turbulent or where it goes a little bit more laminar and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really impressive. So it sounds as though, Grace has said it already, but, you do get put on real projects, and a lot of people think, will I be working on real projects? Will I get that responsibility quite early? Which it sounds like you have, which is fantastic. We've used the word daunting already, but have you found it daunting, being given this responsibility, and how have you managed, managing that responsibility?
Yeah, so it's definitely very daunting because as soon as you start, they start explaining the work that you're going to be doing and like giving you little tasks here and there. So when you first start, you don't you're not very confident in like the tasks you're doing and things like that. But it's all right because they don't expect you to like know everything and do everything straight away. So you can always someone's always there to help you. So for example, I've got like weekly meetings with my manager where I talk through what I've been doing.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, like between the meetings as well, if I ever need help, you just like I can drop him a message on Teams and things like that, and he'll usually set something up to help me out.
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh,
You know,
brilliant.
that support is a massive thing as well, isn't it? Having a network of people where you can go and ask maybe a question which, you know, you might think, is it an obvious question? Or, you know, I'm a bit nervous about asking this. So it's fantastic that you've got that network. In terms of your team then, so you've mentioned obviously you kind of, you know, communicate with the team via Teams or Zoom or, you know, virtually. Have you met your team yet? Have you kind of done a bit of a hybrid approach of working? How has it looked so far with your placement?
Yeah, so it's been hybrid. So I've met them in person as well. When I come into the office, I usually let them know, and then sometimes most of the time people will try and make sure to come in on the same day so that I'm not in the office by myself. So if I need any help with anything, then someone's always there with me, because sometimes it's a bit harder to get a hold of someone on like Teams or something.
Yeah.
And also I had earlier in the morning today as well, I had a meeting with someone within my team as well, and he was showing me around test cells, and so you can like actually see it in like physical, because when someone explains something to you, like how an engine works or something like that, it can get confusing. So to see it actually like physically, it's a lot more helpful. So it's been a hybrid approach in that sense.
I'm just going to circle back just to explain it's something which I've said quite a lot lately when I do presentations and things like that. And I'm just conscious that people are aware of what the hybrid approach is, you know, for the audience that are listening, you know, might not have, you know, be fully aware of what that is. So hybrid is where you'd be, say, in the office a couple of days a week, and then the rest of the week you'd be working from home. So just going to come to you, Grace, on that quickly. Is that something that you are offering for all of your roles, and will that be offered for the new roles opening in October?
Yeah, so it depends on the role. So we do have some positions that need to be fully on site, and much more of the hands-on type of roles. But the majority of roles now at Cummins, and that includes placements, are hybrid. That means different things to different teams. So some teams that are working hybrid might be in the office 1, 2, 3 days a week, and then the rest working from home. Some teams can get away with working from home much more, so they might go in once a week. Me, for example, I'm just in the office once a fortnight. So it depends, and we are trying to be really, really flexible with all employees. So it's something that I will be encouraging students to discuss if they get to interview stage, because we have in the past as well have students apply to a particular position, and then they've kind of worked out that changing sites might be more beneficial to them. So it means that they're not having to relocate. So if you're living in Darlington but you get offered the job in Huddersfield, if we can make it work and you can stay at home and work from our Darlington site, great. So we're just trying to encourage students to have that open discussion with managers, and we'll try and work out the best solution for you and the team.
Brilliant. And again, you know, that is then going to attract maybe students that are further afield, that, you know, it might be that it could be more commutable. So, you know, once every couple of weeks you have to come in, you know, you could do that rather than being in the office 5 days a week. So everyone listening now more than ever, you know, could be putting their applications into Cummins, which is fantastic news. So I'm just going to move on to Sabi, if that's okay. A similar kind of question. If you could just tell us a bit about your current role and your team, and what life is looking like for you at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm working as a graduate engineer now. I've been here since October 2021, and I work in the design and validation department. So basically my role is focused towards the design side of things, which is we sort of, as the name suggests, design components for different platforms, different engine programs. So each person within the design team has responsibility for specific components that they own.
Right.
And their job is to sort of overlook the development of that specific component from the concept phase all the way to production phase, keeping in line with the requirements of the overall program. So for example, I'm working on a specific component, but I need to ensure that how it, you know, integrates with the overall system, and then with the OEM as well. So that's overview of what I do in the design and validation department
Just a
currently.
question there, Sabby. So you said, the OEM, just to explain, if we explain to everyone that what that is, if possible.
Yeah, so the original equipment manufacturer. So OEM would be, our customer. So for example, we're developing an engine, and then we sell it to a specific customer. So they have their specific requirements that we need to integrate into the system that we're developing for them. So that's basically what it means.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. In terms of, we've talked about this a bit already as well, but in terms of being the forefront of technology at the moment, it must be an exciting time for you. You're kind of working on these components, with a drive of, being sustainable, being carbon neutral by 2050, as we've mentioned. Is that something that, you find exciting because you are almost at that forefront of new technology? Yeah.
So the program that I'm currently working on is specific to this. We're working on a hydrogen engine development program, which is obviously very new, but it's also very exciting. It's got its challenges and stuff. So yeah, it is exciting. It is a bit daunting as well, especially as Bhavish just mentioned before, initially when you start. But as you grow into the role, you start feeling more confident because of the support that you get, and can't stress enough how good that is here at Cummins. Especially for new starters who don't really have a background for say, in diesel engines or natural gas engines or engines at all. You get the opportunity to learn. So that's a real positive that I found during my time.
That's really, really good comment. And I think that's the thing as well. It's that willing to learn, isn't it? You can diverse your skills, but have that willing, that passion to learn, ask questions, and where it can take you is endless. So brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Chelsea, I'm going to come to you. Same kind of question, if that's okay. A bit about your role, about your team, and again, what life's looking like for you.
Yeah, so I had a bit of a different start with Cummins. So I did a 12-week placement last summer, but mine was virtual. So it was definitely a different experience to since I've started now as a graduate. So being virtual was definitely different. I was in Glasgow and I was miles away from everyone else. And even through that 12 weeks, I got so much support, and I worked in the compressor and turbines sector here at Huddersfield. And I learned a lot through that. And now since I've come as a graduate, I'm now working in the advanced engineering group. And just having that initial 12 weeks has really built my confidence for coming back. And just having that little bit of base knowledge about the company has been a bit of a comfort blanket to just get started. But in advanced engineering, it is kind of what it says. It is looking at kind of the future technologies. So I'm working on hydrogen internal combustion engine and turbocharger development, which is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to come in and work on what we're aiming to achieve by 2050. We want to do this transition with electrification and hydrogen. So it's been really exciting, and like everyone else has kind of mentioned, everyone's very friendly, and for me it is hybrid, but I choose to come in all the time. I found it's just been, well, I think because I was online the whole time last year, I've just been even more keen to come into the office and be in that environment, and it's so easy to ask questions to any department. Everyone is very willing to help, and it's been so good so far. This is my 5th week since I started, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'd say I was thrown in at the deep end. It's not to put you off, but it's great because I'm trying to find my feet for myself. And like I kind of pointed before, in the kind of new technology stuff, everyone's starting from the same position. None of us know where we're at. So it's quite nice. I feel very equal in the department, which is great. And another really cool thing about Cummins is because we're so international, I'm working with people in India and China and America, which is just, like, it hits the diversity, but everyone comes with unique points of view and how we approach the work. So it's just been such a good experience so far, and just really enjoying my time.
Do you know, it's really a big thought that really, we touched upon this a lot last year, didn't we, Carla, in terms of a lot of these organisations that working in the, the different industries across STEM are literally, I keep using the word, but they're at the forefront of change now, aren't you? And, young, new talent coming into the business, you know, where that talent's going to end up in, say, you know, 5-10 years, you are then going to be, you know, at the pinnacle of the knowledge, and, you know, have all this, you know, kind of experience, and, you know, you imagine where you're going to be in 10 years time. I just think it's so exciting across so many different industries. There's so much change happening, and it's all going to almost start with you guys. I just think must be really exciting to think that, you know, where you're going to end up, you know, at 2050, where you'll actually be.
Yeah, I think there's two things, isn't there? I think it's so exciting because obviously, you know, we're starting to change, everything's going to net zero and everything else, and there's those plans. But, you know, I don't know if it was Bhavisha or Sabri before said about things are always changing and evolving, so you're never going to know everything. And I think that's something that's really key to our students as well. It's about that thirst, have the appetite to find out as much as you possibly can do. You know, every day is a school day, isn't it? So I think we just need to be pushing to the students just to find out, be a sponge, find out everything you want to be, throw yourselves in deep end. You know, things could be daunting, you know, you might be a bit apprehensive, but that's normal. You're meant to feel like that. And everybody, you know, all the contestants like a game show, all the panelists on this webinar, contestants, guys, you go on, please. You know, I felt the same, and it's normal to feel like that. So yeah.
I think
really
as well, you know, something when I speak to students, it's the technical knowledge a lot of people are worried about, aren't they? When you're applying for opportunities, you think, oh, yeah, do I know everything? And is the employer going to expect me to know everything? But it's okay not to know everything. Yeah. You've got the willingness to learn and the motivation to learn, then it goes a long way. Chelsea, I'm going to stick with you if that's okay. Just because we spoke a bit about your placement, and because you've gone through the experience, and because I bang on about placements all the time and the benefit of doing them, could you let the audience know, you know, from the experience of doing a placement, how you felt that benefited you in your, say, final year at Glasgow? And, you know, what experience did you draw, whether it be, you know, technical or soft skills, whatever it may be?
Yeah, so I did my placement in between 4th and 5th year. So it was in that summer. I definitely felt it built my confidence a lot, especially dealing with quite high up people in the company. So having the confidence to email, have Zoom calls, etc. That was a really good confidence booster. And then as well, I didn't know what a turbocharger was when I started. It was something I was interested in, but I didn't have that technical knowledge despite being in engineering. So I did lots of training. I developed my knowledge there. And then how I felt doing the placement actually started for me to see, oh, my degree is useful. Yeah, you can see like it's going to go into this in ways. And then when I went back in the September, I just felt really confident and kind of like, right, I need to finish this final year. I'm ready to, I was just almost so keen to come back. Yeah. I was like, I really enjoyed the work environment and being a part of it. I was like, right, okay, we need to go back to uni and do my final year, my master's project. And I just felt really confident, and I had more of a goal. So I feel like I had more of a purpose. So that was really helpful. I think before I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then that kind of gave me something to work towards, which was nice.
Would you say, Chelsea, you achieved better grades because of the experience as well, personally?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Tough one. Well, I did get my best grades were final year, if I'm going to say. But yeah, well, I definitely think my technical knowledge improved, as well as general soft skills, because that does help you in your university, because you need to reach out to lecturers if you need help. You need to have that. You need to bridge the gap if you need to get help. But yeah, my technical knowledge definitely improved, and definitely learning how you're applying that knowledge also helped you understand, put it in context, and knowing what it's going towards is a big help in that sense, instead of just, here's some equations, learn them. It's
why and where does this sit in real world?
Exactly. So I think that was the big key, was context. Put it all in context and know what you're working towards is a big help.
Brilliant. Bhavisha, I want to come back to you in terms of your experience so far. How do you feel like it's benefited you? Do you feel already, I know you haven't finished your placement yet, but already do you feel those benefits of doing the placement, and how you're going to be able to apply those when you go back to do your final year?
I've definitely improved a lot of like my technical and my soft skills. I did actually do a year placement with Cummins, but in Darlington as well, as part of my degree. So when after I went back to university after that, it was like the same thing as Chelsea said. You do feel like a lot of the benefits once you go back, and you it's almost as if like your style of working and things change, because you tend to pick up things easier, and the way you organize yourself is a lot better, which makes your work better as well once you start doing it like that. So there's a lot of soft skills and things like that that you develop without even knowing as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to come to Sabi next. So I want to talk a bit about, a bit more in depth about the project that you've mentioned you've been working on. So you've mentioned about the particular components and things like that, and for this kind of new project. Have you been working on that since you started in 2021, or have you done multiple projects since you've started?
Yeah, so since I started, I was working on a different program, which was again a diesel engine, a 5-liter diesel engine platform. So I was working on a specific component on that, which is called the breather. I won't get into the technical details of what the breather is and how it works. But yeah, I did that for a few months, but then as part of a higher strategy, that work got shifted to another site, Cummins site in India. And then I was shifted on to this new project, which is the concept development of a hydrogen engine, internal combustion hydrogen engine. So I'm working on different components on this, and so I'm more work on this one. One of them again is the breather system, and the other one is the power cylinder. So yeah, we're planning on testing an engine soon. I wouldn't share the details of when that is, but and how everything works in this session now. But yeah, that's the general gist of it on what I'm currently working at. Yeah, which is exciting because obviously it's new. We don't have, as a company, we don't have experience on the hydrogen technology as well. So it's a bit of learning for everyone, which is exciting.
So how long do you stay on this project for? Will you stay on it really from start to finish now, or can you decide to move projects at any point?
Well, I wouldn't want to move at the moment because yeah, it's something that, it's the future. So being involved in this at an early stage is very exciting. It's very important as well for me and my development. But generally, the way it works is I don't get to decide if I want to move to a different project. I mean, I can, talk to my manager and say that, this piece of work is coming up. I want to get involved and stuff like that. But generally, it's the higher management that will, assess you on your capabilities and then assign you work. You can discuss what you prefer to work on, but it's not just up to you. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah. It sounds as though, like you said, because of the project you're working on, it's so exciting. You can stay working on that project as long as you want, and you can get as involved in it.
Once you start working on it, you want to see how the results are coming through, and once you've developed something and you get into testing, you want to see how it's how the results are coming through and how it's going to progress. So you kind of want to stay and see it to a level where it's as considerable work has been done. So yeah.
You'd want to see it all the way through, wouldn't you? You wouldn't see it halfway through and then this engine works and it's at the other side or another factory or whatever. You think, oh, I wish I could have seen that. Hand it over to somebody else. I think that's a huge benefit that you can see, from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, that's true.
How does it work then? Say, for example, again, using the word at the forefront, but, being at the forefront of this technology and coming up and designing all these great ideas, do you then, because you must be coming up with ideas which you could apply to different engines, size engines, different engines that are doing different things. So how do you share your knowledge? How does that work with other teams?
So it is a very collaborative environment. So the design team specifically focuses on the design aspect. So you develop your, CAD drawings, and you sort of follow these standards in which you have certain bits of analysis that you want to do. But then the analysis work, for example, getting done by another team. So I wouldn't particularly do all the analysis work myself, but I would be involved with the analysis team and getting that piece of work done.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, we have different branches here in Cummins. So I work with Cummins filtration a lot because they are the prime suppliers of the breather units. So, I sort of work on where and how everything's going to work, but then you need different people to help you out on the specifics of things, So, for example, Cummins filtration, they design and sell breather units. So we work with them in telling them, what our requirements are for this program, and then so it's like a collaborative discussion, which over a period of time, develops into a specific product, which then goes into testing, and then further progression and improvement and development. That's sort of how it connects and works.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's almost where you can then start to carve your own career, because then, people are going to then come back to you and ask you for your advice, what do you think? How did it work for you? And again, that's how you can start to make it your own name for yourself within, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Next, I want to start to look at the future. And I know we don't have that crystal ball, we never know what's around the corner, but in terms of what you would like your career to look like at Cummins. So Chelsea, I'm going to come to you next. So what have you got, say, a 5-year plan? Have you thought about what Cummins could offer you?
Obviously it's quite a hard question.
Yeah.
I think because I'm working on the kind of hydrogen side, I think a big thing for me is really getting an in-depth knowledge of that and almost kind of the specializing side of it, because it is going to be the future, whether we like it or not, really. So for me, that is something I really want to get. I want to figure out, I want to find that knowledge, and I find that quite exciting. And I think like the chartership side of things is definitely on my radar in terms of becoming a chartered engineer. I know it can give you good prospects for the future. So currently going through meetings with that, learning a little bit more about it, and I think that's something that I potentially see coming from. Again, it's obviously all up in the air, but I just hope to kind of progress within my kind of department and build my knowledge, because I think knowledge is the kind of such a good tool to have. I think
knowledge is power, Chelsea. Knowledge is
exactly power. Yes, and I think that's what we thought. Yeah,
I was going to ask you, it's funny you said about chartership, because whilst whilst you were talking, I thought about chartership. I was going to ask you that, and then I went off topic. Is that something as well that you're interested in, becoming a chartered engineer, or?
Yeah, so I've already started the scheme. So Cummins does support you, through your personal development as well. So I've started it's called the Monitored Professional Development Scheme, which leads you to chartership. So I'm already en route. So hopefully come next 4 years, I'll be able to get there.
Watch this space. Fantastic. It's brilliant that you both thinking that way as well. I'm going to come back to Bhavisha. I know it's a similar kind of question. You don't know what's going to happen, but in terms of, would you like to come back to Cummins if Grace offered you a graduate role? Would you like to come back to Cummins and see your career there?
Yeah, definitely. I've been asking about the processes and things like that they go through for because as Grace said before, they tend to hire from past placement students, but just because of like the work environment and how like nice everyone is and how everyone always wants to help you and with your work and things like that, I'd really like to come back and get a graduate role here as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm sure you will.
Don't ask Grace. I mean Jess, because Jess will just go straight out and say, right then, come on. What is that process then, Grace? So do the students who've done a placement have to reapply for a graduate opportunity? How does that work?
So we've implemented something new within the last cycle, and it's not me that's had the involvement in it, it's my colleague, but we're running what we call like a graduate conversion process. So what we're trying to do is, in the past, our students used to go back to university and get on with their final years, and then you would kind of be a bit unsure, have I got a graduate job? You might have to chase your manager. Whereas what we're trying to do now is put things in place so that students know before they leave where they stand in terms of a graduate role. And we also ask students if they would like us to keep in contact with them, so we get their permission to contact them once they've gone back to university in case any of those ad hoc graduate roles that I mentioned do come up. So we will always try and go to our previous placement pool first. But the biggest tip is just be really enthusiastic, make it known that you're interested in coming back. So exactly what Bavisha's doing, pester your manager, you know, just make them, you know, aware that you are really keen, and it just kind of puts you at the top of their mind then. You know, because we're also busy doing lots of different things, but if you just keep the enthusiasm going and let everyone know that you're interested in coming back. Build your networks as well while you're on placement. So it might be that you come back and it's not into the team that you worked with on placement. It might be that you're working with a different team, but just building that network of relationships while you're here with us can be really beneficial as well.
Yeah, perfect. Good luck, Bavisha.
Thanks.
Hey, you never know. Not next year, year after. You'll be on Cummins webinar as a graduate. About what you've been doing.
Watch this space. Famous.
Chelsea, I'm going to ask you a question about coming away almost from your day job, but a bit about what else does Cummins have to offer in terms of activities. So again, we've spoke a bit about work-life balance and things like that. Is there anything else that Cummins offer that you feel is a massive benefit to your role?
Well, in terms of like in work, we're doing a lot of networking sessions. So there was one on Tuesday, and it was a very relaxed kind of morning, and it was an encouragement to go and just meet people, and you find out a little bit about them, and it's a real range of kind of more senior people to placements and graduates like me. And it's just to make those connections, to make your life just a little bit nicer, and you have the confidence to reach out to people and ask for help. So that's been really great. And there's another one coming up, which I'm getting involved in. And then in terms of kind of more outside of the work kind of mode, there's like a running group that get together every now and then. We're doing a few like 10Ks and 5Ks at the weekend. And then there's also a weekly football five-a-side that's done on Wednesdays, so I've been getting involved in that.
Well done you.
Not doing very well, but it was it was really good fun, and just to run about. But then you get to kind of chat to people on a more personal level instead of it always being about work. You're making connections as like more friends rather than work colleagues, which it's a nice bridging the gap. Especially like I've moved here like from Glasgow, so it's 4 hours away. I didn't know anyone, so it's been really good to just do these little things to make friends and make living here a little bit more like home.
Definitely.
If you don't mind me asking, Chelsea, how did you find the move? You know, relocating from Glasgow to Huddersfield. Did you get support from Cummins, and how have you found creating almost a new home?
Cummins do help with relocation, which was a big help because it's a 4-hour move, and I was moving from like a 2-bed house with all my furniture and things, so I had to rent a van, and fuel prices right now, like all those things are going through my mind, and
of course,
as well trying to find somewhere to rent. I know probably everyone on this call knows how difficult it is to try and rent a property for uni, and the same goes for this. It's still quite hard to find somewhere to rent, so it just made the process a little bit easier and not as daunting having to do all this by yourself. So it was like a kind of a stressful process just finding the property, but in terms of actually moving, Cummins were there to kind of just help support the move and give a little bit of guidance, which was greatly appreciated in the process.
Definitely.
So even if you live far away, it's not bad. Like everyone is there to help. And again, it's a new area, but it's just encouraging, go and get involved in as much as possible.
Exactly. Go out and get it, because the Cummins offer it. So go and get that support. Is either Bavisha or Sabi, have you got anything else to add to that in terms of groups or anything that you guys are involved in, or experiences that you've had?
Well, I also do the running club that Chelsea mentioned before, which is good just to get to know people on a personal level. There's also something called every employee, every community that Cummins do, which is abbreviated to EEC, where you get involved in your local community and you help out. So places like schools and small local businesses and things like that, and you almost like giving back to the community and like putting in hours just to improve the area around where Cummins is, and that's really good, just to almost separate from work and actually do something that you can see around you every day, because coming into work all the time, it's nice to help the area out around you.
Yeah, well done. That's fantastic. Again, you know, it's great that there's those opportunities there, but you as an individual, you've taken up the you're doing it. You know, it's again putting yourself in that situation sometimes to say, oh yeah, I'll come along, yeah, I'll do it. You know, so well done for doing that. It's really, really good. Sabby, have you got anything else you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, I can. So as part of the design team, we've got activities that we plan every quarter. So we've been doing, like last week, we did a foot golf activity where everybody from the department was invited to sort of hang out, and, you know, it's a sports activity, and then we later went out for drinks and stuff. So that's part of like an official get together that we sort of have at least every quarter. And then it's really up to the individuals as well. You know, so we've set up like a football group that we try to get together at least once a week. So yeah, you've got different opportunities. It's up to you, you know, basically to reach out and connect and plan, and the company supports you.
Yeah, or even start something new.
Yeah. The opportunities are there, you just need to go and get them. Grace.
Yeah. Recruitment process.
I think we've definitely inspired people. People are going to be clicking on that follow button as we speak. So what is the recruitment process? What's it look like? I know we mentioned opening beginning of October, but then from then on, what can the students expect?
Yeah, so students can search for our vacancies through Gradcracker or our careers website, and when you found a role that you're interested in, you just click to apply by uploading your most recent CV. So we try to make the application stage as quick and easy as possible, because we know it's really time consuming. We know that you're applying to lots of different placements, so we just want it to be really, really easy for you to do. So we don't have application forms, it's just an upload of your CV. And you can apply for as many roles as you like. Like I said, we've got such a variety on the website, and it can be sometimes tricky to understand what the different nuances are between the roles. So please feel free to apply to as many as you're interested in. And from that point, you will be looked after by one of our dedicated recruiters. So they will be assigned to you throughout the full recruitment process. So once you've applied, if you are eligible to do one of our placements, you'll then be invited to complete a short round of online psychometric tests, and then that will be followed by an interview or a virtual assessment centre. It depends on the role that you've applied for. So we do aim to notify students of the outcome of their application as soon as possible, just so that you know where you stand, and then you can continue focusing on your studies. It's one thing. It's like a weight off your mind. You can, once you know you've secured a placement, you can just, carry on with your year at university. So we do try to make it as easy as we can throughout that process.
And then specifically to STEM students, I know you mentioned at the beginning, Grace, that you're wanting all STEM students to apply to your positions, but thinking about hints and tips, and obviously they've got loads of hints and tips so far from Pavisha, Sabby and Chelsea so far as part of the webinar, but what would you say would be, your top 3 hints and tips to students watching?
So I think these tips are really important for STEM students, so students that are not just, think if we've got an engineering role, please don't think you have to be studying mechanical engineering, but these tips kind of are applicable to all students applying. So I guess the first thing that I would say is we just encourage you to have a genuine interest in Cummins and the role that you are applying for. So please do be prepared to discuss your interest in Cummins and the role, you know, and why you've applied. So that will be kind of an important discussion at interview.
Yeah.
And I think it's always really beneficial just to do some basic research about the company that you're applying to, and thinking about where you could potentially fit in with the company values and what you kind of bring to the table. And doing that and looking at the company values, it's a really good way for you to check that the company is a good match for you as well. You know, it's a two-way street, so you need to know that the company that you're applying to, you know, meets your expectations and meets your own values. So that's something that's really important. And then the other kind of thing that I would say is, we're just going back to doing your basic research. That's really important as well, if you're applying to a bit more of a specialised role. So just basic things, just make sure you kind of really read the job description, look at the business unit or the site where the job's based, and do a little bit of extra research to boost your knowledge. So, for example, if you're applying for an engineering role at our Darlington engine plant, just do a little bit of research about what happens at the engine plant, maybe learn a little bit about the basic operations of an engine, and just think about some of the skills and principles that you've learned on your university course and how they can be transferred to your placement role. And that's the piece that's most important for students that are studying any STEM subject, because although, you know, if you're applying to an engineering role but you haven't studied engineering, that's fine. Just think about how you can transfer your knowledge from your course and just demonstrate that learning and that logical thought process. That's what we're most looking to kind of assess during our interview and assessment processes.
Yeah, and I think I was going to say, Grace, I think the hub and these webinars, you know, they're the perfect place to do your research. If you wanted to watch or listen to the webinars or read all the information, it's there in front of you. It's so accessible that you can go and get it in seconds, can't you? So there's really no excuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then just thinking, Grace, you've been, obviously you've done the placement at Cummins, you've been a graduate, you've seen, I'm guessing, thousands of applications and students over the years. What would you say are the key benefits if you were talking to a student now that you would like to get across about Cummins? Obviously, we've heard loads from the other three panelists, but what would you say specifically?
So I think the key thing is salary. So we offer, you know, really competitive student and graduate salaries, and we offer very generous pension plans. We offer employee health cash plans, so we cover costs towards a range of different health treatments and well-being, and we run lots of well-being sessions, and there is lots of mental health support, and I think that's incredibly important. We support employees with continuing their education and development. So as Chelsea and Sabi have mentioned with the chartership, we have sponsored students to go back and do master's degrees in the past, and other kind of outside research. So we are really keen to continue developing our employees, and we also offer the work-life flexibility that I had mentioned earlier with the hybrid working. So we just try to make things as easy as possible for our employees. But I guess kind of the really key benefit is just the experience and the learning that you'll get from Cummins, and the support that you'll get. I know when I finished my placement, I felt like a completely different person at the end of it. I know, as the others have said, your confidence just grows so much, and it means that you're going into that final year of university just really focused, really driven, and that is something that will always benefit you for your future career, whether that's at Cummins or any other company. So I just think the pros of doing a placement are just endless.
Yeah. Okay, Jess, her head's going to fall off by now. There's so much in this webinar. Perfect. So yeah, I'd like to thank all of you for taking part on this webinar. It's been really insightful, fascinating to hear more about Cummins from obviously a technical point of view, but then a personal point of view as well. So everything that you've all experienced. So thank you very much for joining us. as I mentioned right at the beginning of the webinar, that this will be, the whole webinar will be on the Cummins Hub from tomorrow, and then we'll break it down into bite-sized chunks like key hints and tips that Grace just gave, or some of the experiences that the grads have had and interns have had so far at Cummins. So make sure you give it a watch, give it a mention. You know, Grace also mentioned at the beginning that people are starting to say now, oh yeah, watch that webinar. Grace loves to hear this. Me and Jess love to hear this as well. It kind of makes our days, doesn't it, Jess? It makes our autumns, basically, if we hear back from you to say, yeah, I've applied to Cummins and I was successful. So yeah, make sure you do all of that. Follow Cummins, you know, that's one of the next to-dos after you finish watching this, and then be alerted when they are opening up in early October. So thanks, Cummins, for joining us. Me and Sophie will be with Zurich, insurance company Zurich, next week. Jess is taking a little bit of a break, so we will see you then. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Bye. Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.